Don't be afraid to, to put something out there that doesn't look traditional. It's okay. It'll get there eventually if you keep at it. Matt and Lisa Bevington. We currently live in Yutan, Nebraska, which is about 15-20 miles south of here. We were fortunate enough to be able to purchase this property a couple years ago and start to build our dream out here. We've put it into a low grass prairie mix or a tall grass prairie mix.
We've always wanted to live out in the country. That was always the dream. We don't come from farming families, so when we went finally to go look for that piece of property, and this one became available, and we couldn't find just like that little patch of ground in the nature that was already established, Matt said, well, we're going to build it. And it's just kind of evolved into the pollinator habitats, habitat for wildlife. I think a lot of it for me started with the bees. I had bees, like we said, years ago, and I wanted to bring the hives out here, and I wanted wildflowers for them. So I think that's where it all kind of started, and it's just evolved.
I was more habitat first and not pollinator first. I like to hunt, I like to fish, I like to do lots of things outdoors. And for us, when we were looking for a property, that was important that we had a property that could really hold a lot of animals. We want to provide value back. And since then, I feel like over the last 2 years, we've succeeded in a lot of different ways because we're starting to see more deer show up. We're starting to hear some pheasants around here. It'd be cool to have some quail show up. We're starting to see wood ducks travel from the creek to the pond and back and forth. Other ducks show up landing on the pond. So it's exciting. We get the added benefit of the pollinators of being able to provide for them as well. So this was one of the first areas after we'd bought the property that we took out of traditional crop production. I believe it was about 11 acres that we had kind of straightened out this field. The creek kind of meanders through it, and so in these pockets, we contacted Prairie Plains Institute, and they actually did the seeding here, and it was just amazing the success that we had. They've got an amazing product. It's a hand-harvested, local eco-type seeds. So if you look behind us over here, what we're seeing now is what we had just planted in the spring. This was late May, just like the stuff that we had next door. And I don't have any of my stuff in programs, and we've done that because we want the ability to be able to change it, modify it over time. For us, it felt right not to have that in the program. And we'll learn as we go. We may want to do some traditional farming back over here again in certain pockets. We've got about 1.5 acres of einkorn wheat that we've planted over there.
A few years ago, I've been making sourdough bread with it. We'll mill it, see what happens.
We didn't expect to have this much volunteer corn in this field. My first thought was when it first popped, I was going to mow it, and then I started thinking about maybe some of the benefits of having it up for wildlife. Ultimately, we don't want a field full of random corn out here. So we're still working through that. I would really recommend, if you've got smaller pockets, just utilize them. It's okay if you got 1 acre or 2 acres. Don't be afraid to do what you got to do. And I'm a big believer in the Prairie Plains, their seeds. And I think if you're in a program, you can probably, it makes sense to go that direction. It's not going to be perfect, it's going to be a mess. And I think that's probably what's been helpful because, we didn't come from a farm background. So it doesn't really bother us that we've got a bunch of corn out here where we shouldn't have corn right now. We're just having fun with it and doing our own things. Don't be afraid to put something out there that doesn't look traditional. It's okay. It'll get there eventually if you keep at it. For us, it's just all about enjoying this property. We're going to mow paths through all this and be a good place to walk, good place to take our dogs, just a place to enjoy. And that's what we want to do is, see a new species of flower pop up one day that we haven't seen before. As we grow older and eventually retire, it's just going to be fun to keep busy with different activities.
If you want to do more for pollinators on your farm, we're here to help. Start by reaching out to our Pollinator Habitat Help Desk at 337-422-4828 or habitat@monarchjointventure.org.